Leave planet Earth alone. 'Cause I'm coming.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Alright, so the new Transformers movie is coming out next week, and I was lucky enough to catch an early screening. And I thought it was pretty good. In fact, I would go as far to say that it was the first Transformers movie to be good. And yes, I know that that is becoming an increasingly hotter take as more people grow tired of the current state of cinema and yearn for a time when things were much simpler and also much more racist for some reason.
Read? We don't really do much reading.
Yeah, guys, listen, I've never really cared for those original Transformers movies. Even as a kid, I would watch them in theaters, but they never really left a lasting impact on me. In fact, I didn't really start caring about Transformers until I did my own digging and found parts of the franchise that were actually cool and interesting to me. But I'm not here to talk about those old movies. There are plenty of reviews and breakdowns and reactions of those that talk about all of the issues that I have with them. So if you want to know more, do your own homework. That ain't my job. At least not in this video, it's not. The last thing I want to mention about those old movies is the fact that every time I watched them, every time a new one was coming out, I would always think to myself, why haven't they made a Transformers movie where Optimus Prime is the main character? And thank God, we finally did it. We finally got a movie about Transformers, not the dumbass side characters, not the annoying humans, the sick-ass robots that turn into cars. I don't know why it took so long for the creators of these movies to figure this out. The original cartoon has almost no humans, and even when it does, they don't really fucking matter. And they definitely aren't the main characters. Why did we do this for so long? Please give me more Transformers movies where we're just following the Transformers. I don't care about Sam Witwicky or Eren Yeager. Please, please, just give me more Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, Megatron movies. I don't care about the other people. Alright, I gotta stop getting mad about these kids' toys. This movie follows Orion Pax and his best pal D16, two lowly worker bots who are trying to prove themselves in an increasingly competitive Cybertron. This movie does a great job of fleshing out these two characters and their relationship. Right off the bat, we learn that they can't transform and they're basically nobodies. Orion is a daring, adventurous type, and D16 is much more cautious and hesitant to go against the code. And personally, I think this is really cool. We as an audience already know the path that these characters are headed in, so seeing them in a position where their roles are essentially reversed and allowing them to develop is really cool to see unfold. In my opinion, there have been far too many movies where Optimus Prime is the goody two-shoes leader who's really bland and acts the same for every story, so having a movie where he actually gets a character arc is pretty refreshing. These two are definitely the highlight of the movie, and they really kept me interested throughout. I also thought that Chris Hemsworth and Brian Tyree Henry did great jobs playing these characters that have been voiced by the same people for like 40 years. It was a pretty bold decision to use new voice actors for these crucial characters, and I think it paid off pretty nicely. However, the same cannot be said for the side characters. I didn't hate Keegan-Michael Key as B-127, but he's just kinda annoying, which I'm willing to set aside given the fact that he is the comic relief character and this is a movie that is made for children. Yes, I do have to mention that this is a kids movie. Obviously, the Bay films were made with children in mind, but they were rated PG-13 and were aimed at an older audience. This movie, on the other hand, is made to be enjoyed by a much younger audience. That's not to say it's bad if you're older than the target demographic, but more so that you can kind of tell sometimes when the movie is trying to entertain the kiddos. I was actually pretty surprised by the amount of adult themes that they got away with. There are some pretty, not necessarily brutal moments, but dialogue that is very intense that I don't think that children will understand. But as an adult myself, I was pretty shocked by the fact that some of these lines are in a kids movie. To put it simply, I would classify Sonic as a movie that's made mostly for kids, but can be enjoyed by adult fans of the characters, whereas something like Spider-Verse is made for all ages and does not dumb itself down for a younger audience. Transformers 1 is somewhere in the middle, with a decent story and characters, but some writing that is indicative of a much lighter tone and focus overall. Anyway, back to what I was saying. The worst part of this movie for me was Scarlett Johansson's character, Alita. I just don't like her, alright? It's pretty simple. She was kind of annoying and didn't really fit well with the story for me. Plus, I didn't really love the voice performance performance that Mrs. Johansson was giving. It was for sure the worst in the movie for me, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it was bad, but it was definitely very unnatural and kind of clunky at times, which is fine. She's not the main character or anything, so it doesn't really distract most of the time. But there are definitely some moments in the story where it becomes a little bit awkward because of that performance, in my opinion. On the other hand, though, I really fucking loved some of the other voice actors in this. I'm not gonna spoil who, but about 2/3 of the way through the movie, some new characters showed up that were just chef's kiss. It was great, plus those characters were actually funny to me. It's not technically a spoiler since they're all top cast and some of them were even in the trailers, but their voices weren't, and I love it. I crave more. Give me more of these characters in future installments. It was fucking great. It was ripped right out of the G1 series. Please, I need more. Give me more. I cannot wait any longer. I want more of these characters. Sorry about that. Really quickly, I do want to touch on the action. I thought it was good. I'm not going to elaborate. I don't really care about the action as much as good characters and story, but it was good. I know there's a lot of people out there who will say a movie is bad because the action was boring and it wasn't as cool as the other movies. If you're one of those people, I think you'll be fine here. There are some pretty cool sequences, but it's definitely not the focus or the, highlight of the movie for me, but it's still good. If you like the Transformers, you'll like this movie in terms of visuals and action, I think. One thing I will say was pretty hit or miss for me, though, was the animation. I just think it was a little bit awkward in some spots. I don't think it was bad. I definitely prefer it to some bland-ass elimination stuff, but personally, some of the designs and movements weren't great. Although I will say, I think it actually improves throughout the movie, not just as characters get new designs and stuff, but just in general, I think it started to look better as time went on. And another thing that got better as time went on was the pacing. At the beginning of the movie, the pacing is kinda shit. It sucks. It's not boring or slow or anything like that. In fact, I would actually say it's the opposite. Some scenes move by at such a blazing speed that it can actually be disorienting. I do think it gets a little bit better in later parts of the film, but pacing is probably my biggest issue with this one specifically. And I think that also goes hand in hand with editing. Some of the scenes are just cut weirdly or they end abruptly. It's just a little bit strange. You'll know what I'm talking about in the movie. You will see it if you know what to look for. Not a big deal, but it did kind of distract me in the beginning and some other parts of the movie. However, all of my problems are pretty easy to overlook when you zoom out and view this as a complete picture. It has a full narrative, one that I think is really great. It has good characters headed by fantastic leads. It has unique animation, decent voice acting, good themes, cool moments, and overall it's fun. It's just fun. I'm very glad to say that we finally got a Transformers movie that is both fun and also has a good story. It's possible, okay? People act in the industry like it's impossible to have a good movie that is also fun and appeals to a mass audience. That's not true. It is very possible, and those are some of my favorite movies, and that is very rare for this franchise. Like I said, this is the best one in my opinion. There's not another Transformers movie that is as good as this one. I don't even think the original G1 cartoon movie is as good as this one. I think this is great, so that's why I'm going to go ahead and give Transformers 1 a 7 out of 10? 7.5 out of 10? I don't know. It's really not that important. I'll give it a 7 for now, and if I change my mind later, you guys can yell at me in the comments. I'll probably go see it again when it releases next week, so keep an eye out on my Letterboxd for a rewatch log.